The Public News Service Daily Newscast, November the 18th, 2020. I'm Mike Clifford. President-elect Joe Biden has pledged to bring back America's welcoming approach towards immigrants and refugees. Our Mike Bowen reports a Minnesota group says it's a restored hope in getting more people resettled, but cautions that patience is still needed.
The cap on refugee admissions declined every year during Donald Trump's presidency to a record low of 15,000 for 2021. President-elect Biden has said he wants to boost the number to 125,000. Michaela Schuneman of the International Institute in Minnesota says that would even be above the historical average prior to Trump's term. But she says any changes wouldn't happen overnight.
U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service is going to have to hire more staff. They're going to have to get back to processing cases at the level that they were processed before.
She says it could take up to a couple of years to see higher numbers of refugees after the changes are reversed. A number of resettlement agencies that work with the federal government scaled back their operations when the Trump administration downsized the program.
The 2020 election saw many voters cast their ballots in ways much different than they're used to. The pandemic resulted in a surge in absentee voting by mail, but drive-through voting also surfaced. Johnson County Auditor Travis Weipert says he was floored when people asked him to bring back the option for future elections.
I have received so many thank yous and letters of you're going to continue the drive-through voting, right?
18,000 Johnson County residents took advantage of drive-through voting this fall. Weipert wants to make it a permanent part of the voting process in his county. And this year marks the 25th anniversary of a unique program that provides in-home care for some of Oregon's most vulnerable residents. Here's Eric Tegedoff.
Housecall Providers has expanded to 3 programs since it began in 1995. At any given time, its primary care arm serves 1,500 to 1,600 patients. It also has about 120 hospice patients and provides community-based palliative care for 150 people with serious but non-life-threatening conditions that require wraparound services. CEO Rebecca Ramsey says staff is on call for patients' serious needs.
If the patient has the flu or is having any kind of exacerbation of their chronic illness, we can make urgent visits as well. So the difference there is that we're going to the patient on an urgent basis instead of the patient having to come to an office setting.
Spurred on by racial imbalances in COVID-19 deaths and a national reckoning on race, the American Heart Association has put out a call for health groups to tackle the structural racism that leads to major health disparities.
The group says institutional discrimination in the U.S. contributes to higher rates of cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes in Black and brown communities. AHA President Dr. Mitchell Elkin says knowledge of these health gaps isn't new, but his group sees a greater sense of urgency to address them.
The association will leverage our scientific enterprise, education, and advocacy work to support national awareness of structural racism and to promote a national reconciliation. The people of these communities deserve nothing less, and society must demand it.
He says the group is committing millions of dollars to scientific research on diseases that hit underrepresented communities. Funding will also go toward new local, state, and federal efforts to provide equitable access to health care and healthy food. I'm Diane Bernard.
According to CDC data, heart disease is the leading cause of death for African Americans. In Virginia, deaths from heart ailments are about 1.3 times more common for black people than white people. The latest estimates on the prevalence of hunger in Ohio strengthening the case for a new COVID-19 relief bill in the Congress. The nonprofit group Feeding America projects the overall food insecurity in Ohio for 2020 tops 18%. Jory Novotny is with the Ohio Association of Food Banks.
Food insecurity estimates for 2020 are scary. They're not like anything that we've seen in any modern time. We peaked in 2014 at a little under 17%. Prior to COVID-19, we were finally under the 14% mark, and COVID-19 has caused that to skyrocket.
Finally, when temperatures surge or floodwaters rise, animals in Michigan need safe places to go. Experts have mapped out these climate-resilient landscapes all throughout the United States.
A team of 150 scientists spent the last decade analyzing geology and topography and compiling the findings into a mapping tool. The Nature Conservancy led the effort, and project manager Sean Howard says the tool shows areas with habitat and ecosystems that can adapt to allow native species to thrive. It also highlights connecting corridors that would allow species to move safely within and between these climate-resilient areas.
And we'll see warming trends, and species will need to be able to move largely north-south in Michigan to be able to find new areas that are suitable for them in terms of year-round climate.
Mary Sherman reporting.
This is Mike Clifford for Public News Service, member and listener supported on radio stations big and small, and viewed on Free Speech TV.